Check out that ocean, flat as a tack. No wonder all those boats have been getting out off the continental shelf and catching those amazing yellowfin tuna. G'day folks, it's Ando from Boss Outdoor with this week's fishing report. But before we get stuck into what else is biting around the traps, let's shoot straight to Leaf to find out where these tuna are biting.
Well, didn't we see a cracking bite of yellowfin tuna last weekend? Get out off Bateman's Bay, get out into that 1,000 fathoms of water, troll around, hopefully you get one on the troll, but even better, if you can see them busting up, run over there, cast a stick bait into them and get stuck into those fish. They fall victim to stick baits all the time, and what is more exciting than seeing a yellowfin tuna smack a stick bait off the surface? Fishing does not get any better than that. Tyler's been out there and he reckons he's had a better bite in the afternoon. So if you can hit that afternoon on a tide change, you have a chance of coming up trumps. Corey went out there and got himself a nice fish as well. So again, all that action is in that slack water off Bateman's Bay. So probably worth traveling up the coast or down the coast to get yourself in that right zone. You'll still pluck the odd one out. If you want to just get out off Marimbula, get into that 1,000 fathoms and troll north, I reckon, you still have a chance of a fish, but I'd be driving to Bateman's Bay. If you can only go fishing one day this weekend, make it Saturday. The weather looks mint. If you can't go Saturday, it's still well worth a trip on Sunday. It's only blowing 10 knots or so you'll get out there if you've got a decent sized boat.
Well, thanks for that update, Leaf. Good luck to all those boaters chasing tuna this weekend. If you want to chase snapper, 35 metres off Long Point, I've been banging on about it. They're still there. Brent and I had a bit of a crack on Tuesday morning before work, as you all saw. Well, there were 3 or 4 other boats out there and they were all pulling fish in too. So if you get out off Long Point in that 35 metres, you're going to find yourself some fish. I suggest you use soft plastics. The reason for that is the soft plastics are always there in the column waiting for that fish to pounce. If you use bait, which there is nothing wrong with using bait, I'm a filthy baito myself. But the problem with bait is you'll get other fish such as wrasse and pike eating those baits before the snapper get a chance. So soft plastics, easier, cheaper, cleaner, more productive. Why wouldn't you do it? And if you're chasing some flatties, that 35 to 40 metres, so they've actually come in a little bit, which is great. Water's sitting about 16 degrees on the surface, so it's not overly cold, so the flatties are quite active. So I'd be sort of thinking 35 to 40 metres rather than punching out to 55, 60. However, if you do, you're going to find those bigger fish. But if you're just after a bag of those 45s, hit that 35 to 40 metres. Tell you what else, if you're fishing out of Eden, head down off Leatherjacket Bay or even further down off Mawarri and those sorts of areas, put a micro jig down in about 40 metres of water. You're going to get some beautiful nannygai. Now, if you haven't eaten nannygai, they're delicious. They're only a tiny little orange fish, but they are fantastic fun catching on jigs and they are absolutely delightful on the plate. The good thing about where you're catching nannies, you're also catching mowong, snapper, pigfish and all those other species. Now here's the thing, I'm going around about here, but what I want to point out is that sort of depth with metal jigs have been producing squid, lots of squid. Dean's been catching some absolute monsters on jigs, micro jigs for snapper. So if you're in that area, why wouldn't you put a squid jig on a paternoster rig and send it down? Now, there's a bit of a trick on how to set these rigs up. Without me banging on about it right now, come into the store so I can show you. It's a little technical setup, but it works. You can drop 2 squid jigs down at the same time on a paternoster and catch a feed of calamari. Oh, and before I forget, when I was out there on Tuesday morning with Brent and snapper fishing, we saw a whole bunch of kingfish blowing up all over the surface. There were a lot of rats in between them, like I'm talking really small rats, like undersized kingfish, but there were some absolute horses there as well. So maybe get ready for that new moon in August that I always talk about. If you're chasing salmon over the weekend off the beach, down at Haycock's producing, obviously down there at the bottom end near Pambula Beach, and over here at Tura Beach, the northern end. The gutters are sensational up here, and what I like about Tura Beach, you always get those really big tailor after dark. If you want to punch further up towards Tathra is also fishing well, and so are the beaches in amongst Twofold Bay. So I've heard some terrific catches of salmon in Twofold Bay, those back beaches up there around Nullika, Mutrees and Kokora. Don't be surprised if you get a mulloway in there, because I have heard some mulloway schooling in Twofold as well. Where they are, they could show up in any one of those beaches on any given point, but you've got to be there, fish a tide change. Tide change after dark is always good as well. If you want to do a bit of rock fishing, right here at Short Point, it's starting to fire. There's a good little foamy section just off the point here. Put some burley in the water and you'll get your drummer, maybe a brim, but I still believe that haycock's fishing better for drummer. And obviously the good thing about haycock, if you're after some shore-based squid, that's probably your best option. Well, on the estuaries, Mogarika, starting to show some flathead. The main basin around near the bridge, if you're throwing a soft plastic or a hard body off the sand around there, you're going to start seeing some duskies, which is great because it's only a matter of a couple of months before all those big dusky flatheads start to stack up down there. So seeing the small ones moving now is fantastic. Pambula Lake, still quiet. The main channel, there's hardly anything in it, but there are some fish up in the top lake. Mainstays, Taylor, Trevally, a couple of mulloway, but it's not red hot. The estuary I really want to focus on is Pambula Lake. Let's talk Pambula. So the Pambula River, finally we're seeing some salmon action. How good. Who doesn't froth a salmon on a placky or a medal? Even a fly. So all those guys chucking the feathers and the fur, get down to Pambula. Tyler's been smacking into them. He's getting a fish a cast, calling them on cue, getting heaps of Taylor and Trevally in the mix with it. I don't think there's a better place to do battle with a salmon than Pambula River. It is the most gorgeous, pristine piece of water I've ever fished, and I hope that you can come down on the weekend and experience it too. If you're pushing further up into the Broadwater, there are a lot of things happening up there right now. I'm so excited about it. Again, you've got your Taylor bust-ups and there's Trevally in amongst them and salmon. We had Ben Webster come into the shop. He was fishing with his kids, right? Casting a few double clutches at the bait balls and the bust-ups. His young bloke hooks onto something massive and says, "Dad, I can't wind it in." Gives it to Ben. Ben says, "Oh, geez, it's a bit heavy." Cranks it in. It was an 80 centimetre Dewey on a double clutch in amongst the feeding frenzy. How cool. So then we have another customer that's visiting from West Gippsland. Adrian Kent is his name. And I want to thank Adrian personally for the information and the content he's provided us for this week's report. He was in his links, Hobie links, just around the Broadwater, having a flick, having a troll with some hard bodies. And he come up trumps with an 82 centimetre Jew. Did it twice, got a 65 or a 63 as well. Then he caught a heap of big salmon, a heap of Taylor. He even caught 2 Taylor on one lure, and he's been getting some amazing Trevally as well. I'll tell you what, Pambula is one of those little secret spots that really, when it fires, I don't think there's a better estuary on the south coast that fishes as well as that place. In fact, this Saturday, I'm going down there. Well, that's a fishing report for this week. Remember, if you're heading down to Pambula chasing those salmon, take some soft plastics. We have the live ops, buy one, get one free deal going. And the Boss rentals are still 50% off until the end of August, so capitalise on that. If there's anything else you need to know, whether it be camping, fishing, or anything outdoors related, come into Boss Outdoor so we can hook you up.